long time since I killed a Jedi. Your lightsaber blade is fresh!
So today I thought it'd be fun to talk about the history of the Ronin. It depends on what you consider Star Wars canon, but I thought this was a really interesting story because it brings up the question, maybe not all Sith Lords and Sith are necessarily evil. The Ronin in this history, Jedi were monks that traveled to help whoever in need, but became more involved in politics, and many swore themselves to imperial lords that ruled over areas of the galaxy. So, Jedi in this history were servants of a feudalistic empire. This empire was centuries before the Sith Rebellion. The capital was on the planet Roizu. Some Jedi served as lords, and some were lords themselves on this empire. The lords fought against each other, and the Jedi vowed to fight and die with them. As I'm sure you know, not all people are able to become Jedi Knights just because if they're Force sensitive or their metachlorian count. So children in this timeline were taken without regard of their wishes if they were Force sensitive. This led to disagreements and partially led to the Sith Rebellion. The Ronin decided during this time period that he wouldn't sacrifice his life or the lives of his apprentices for a pointless conflict. Quote, "I am my own blood, and these are my own people. Never again do I serve the Jedi. Never again do I yield to their lords." The Ronin abandoned his lord, who actually shot him in the jaw, which explains his prosthetic jaw, and became the original Dark Lord of the Sith. Quote, "Not long ago, there was a certain Jedi, a knight who rose from the ranks of the children, welcomed into one of our esteemed clans. He was blessed, you could say, favored by the gods. If you'd rather, or simply very good at following orders, as his masters imagined he would. Yet this was the very man who so famously turned on the Jedi. I've often wondered why." Ronin believed in self-determination, which is why he rejected the Jedi. Many Jedi joined his ranks and became Sith, including the bandit that he fights against in the Vision short, The Duel. The Ronin and the Jedi that joined him wanted to live their own life and not be under Jedi control. So these Force-sensitive people saw the Sith as an opportunity for self-determination. Alongside the Ronin was the Sith Witch. She was very powerful and could even resurrect former Force wielders. The Sith eventually waged a war against the Jedi, but ironically began abducting children to aid their cause. The uprising Sith made their way to the Empire's capital on the planet Ryuzu and took control. The Ronin at this time begins realizing the death and destruction he brought upon the galaxy. In the Jedi Temple on the planet, he sees a vision of endless war and realizes what actions he has caused with death and destruction. However, he decided to turn to violence to end this cycle. He betrays his own Sith and slaughters them on their capital ship. As the Empire comes to fight back and retake what is theirs, Ronin and the others escape. Shortly after Ronin escapes, the Sith Witch then takes the planet Ryuzu and disappears. The Ronin spent years after this tracking down and hunting down Sith, killing them and taking their kyber crystals. After about 20 years, this leads us up to the Vision short that we saw called The Duel. After the planet Ryuzu was unable to be found, the war was declared over. The Lords and Empire united in a common goal to ultimately destroy the Sith. The bandit in the short clip, The Duel, the Ronin winds up destroying, but originally it was thought she was dead. It turns out she was resurrected by the Sith Witch. The Ronin sets out on a journey to hunt down the witch and discovers Ryuzu. Eventually, Ronin locates the planet and discovers he has mistaken. It's not the Sith Witch that has been resurrecting people, it is his daughter. His daughter's mother, it turns out, is the Sith Witch. For a time, the Ronin's daughter was raised by the witch, but eventually she gave herself up to the people on the planet Ryuzu. The people that were resurrected by her were called Sith demons. They looked after the child, and eventually the witch's Sith demons faded away, leaving the child alone on the planet by herself. Itzuna was a traveler that was sent by Jedi Lords, and was sent to eliminate any remaining Sith on the planet at one point, but she couldn't do it. Instead, the child became trained in black current and white flare of the Force. The Ronin's daughter sees the Jedi as fundamentally unfair and thinks the galaxy needs to be rebalanced. To do this, she collects souls of dead people and resurrects them, like her mother, to prepare for a war that she intends to start. The Ronin initially encountered her as a disembodied voice that guided him on his travels that he thinks was her mother, and eventually leads him to her. The Ronin, however, stops her and makes her realize she doesn't want to make the same mistake he has. The Ronin and his daughter then attempt to find ways to overturn the galaxy and change the way it is without widespread war. Me personally, I really enjoyed this novel, The Ronin. It made me think, maybe not all Sith and Sith Lords are necessarily evil. Then again, it also depends on what you call canon. One great thing about this novel, in my opinion, is it doesn't really make any references to any of the other Star Wars projects in the franchise. What do you think? Tell me what you think about The Ronin. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear yours. If you would like to know more about other fantasy fiction franchises, such as Star Wars, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and Lord of the Rings, subscribe to Chase and Josh Factor Fantasy Podcast. The link is in the bio. Or you can subscribe to Ridiculous Patronus on YouTube. As we say on the podcast, you're the shield that guards the realms of fantasy. We'd be nothing without you. Thank you, everyone. Have a magical week.